Brother Nashi, how are you? Please post my story as anonymous. My real name, the one that is on my ID, I am called God Punished Me. True story. In high school, I used to be bullied quite a lot. It started in primary school. I used to be bullied a lot because of my name. So the story that my mother told me about my name was that she got impregnated by one bus driver, and my father had put all of his hope on my mother, and when he found out that my mother had fallen pregnant, that was when he said that God has punished me, and that was my name. So growing up, they just used to call me Punish Me or Punish, but you can call me Justice for the sake of this story. I came to South Africa and I faced a lot of bad luck the first time around. When I came to South Africa, I did not know that there are a lot of thieves in Beitbridge. When I arrived in Beitbridge, Brother Nashi, we got onto a truck. Those people, they then left us in the middle of nowhere. We started wandering around the bushes and we ended up in Kruger National Park, where we left two women. One was bitten by a snake, then the other one, we just did not know where she went to, because we used to sleep on top of a rock during the night, and there were hyenas that used to circle around the hill, and we would be sleeping on top of the hill. So these hyenas, they were going around like they used to do each and every night, and we had a scream. One woman just screamed. It was as if she had gone to relieve herself, and we don't know what dragged her. We never found her. Then when it was in the morning, that was when some of the people that knew the road to South Africa, they said, let us give up. And we looked for an electric fence, and we sat by the electric fence for 2 days in one position, and then we saw a truck that was full of soldiers, and we just said, you can arrest us, because already there were people that were starving. That was what happened when I first came to South Africa. I returned back to Zim and I had to borrow money, so I borrowed some money so that I can return back. When I came back the second time around, it was a little bit better. I came to South Africa many years ago, and I managed to come to Joburg. I had my certificates because I was and I am a qualified store manager. I am a man who knows how to run a business, even if you give me a failing business, as long as it is a business that is in the retail sector. That is where I thrive. I love it. I love to serve people. When I arrived in Johannesburg, I was really lucky, and I ended up getting a job at Woolworth. What made me to get a job at Woolworth was that I did a piece job. It was towards raining season, and I was doing some piece jobs. I used to go around with a spade as well as a rake looking for piece jobs. Then there was this other woman who gave me a piece job, and the way that I worked really fast, she then said that she had one of her aunties who was working as an HR at this other shop, and since I had told her that I had my certificates, maybe the auntie would look at my certificates. That is how I ended up getting a job at Woolworth. I worked hard. I was honest. I knew how to manage people and how to make the shelves look perfect. In that same mall where I was working, there was this other girl that I fell in love with. She was a very beautiful girl. She was South African, and she was a checkout girl at one of this other big shop that was also inside that same mall. So we would meet, and I would always buy her lunch whenever I would meet her on our lunch break. She was kind, she was funny. At first, she'd said that she could not date me because she was dating someone else. Later on, she then said that she had been heartbroken and she did not care anymore that I was a foreigner, and she wanted us to try dating for a month. And she said, if you can heal my heart in that 1 month, I'm going to be yours like forever. We fell in love. We moved in together. She was my support system. When I got promoted to a senior manager position, she celebrated with me, and I thought that this was the beginning of my South African dream. But my success at Woolworth, it made me to be hated. It is everywhere. Even if you go to another country and you are working with local people, as a foreigner, sometimes you do not complain about the hours that you are working, because what drove you to go to another country? Basically, it is stomach politics. You are hungry, and that is what made you to leave your country. When you go to a country where you can eat, you can survive as a human being, you will try to please those that have employed you. Since that other woman's auntie, she was the one that had employed me, I did not want her to regret at all ever hiring me. So whenever she would ask something to be done, I would make sure that I would lower myself, even though I had a better position in the company. But you could even see me doing some stuff which other people that I was working with would refuse to do, to even clean, to even pick up rubbish and to go and throw it away. I will do that, and this made other people to like me, and I did not know that there were those that did not like me. My other colleagues began to look with me with evil eyes. They would whisper and they would say, how can a Zimbabwean be our boss? Are they no other South African would do this job better? And it was toxic. It became so toxic, so much that I was scared that someday someone was going to hire someone to kill me. They started sabotaging my work. There were those that would hide reports or report me for things that I did not do. They did not know about my legal status in South Africa. This kept me. If I had refused the promotion, maybe to this very day, I could be working there, or maybe I would have saved enough money and start my own business, because that was my intention when I came to South Africa. I said I'm going to build a supermarket, or I will start it here in South Africa, or build from the ground up there in Zim. And I always wanted to be part of a franchise, and I knew that it needed a lot of money. So I did not complain, because I was not thinking about the salary for that month. I was targeting what I will be in 3 or 4 years to come. So the people that I was working with, they did not know that this was what I was looking at. I was looking into the future, not thinking about the money that we were making at that time. I just saw Woolworth as something that was going to assist me to become something in life. So they were sabotaging me, and it was just too much for me, and I could not work in a peaceful environment. And I just wanted to go back to Zim. But my money that I wanted to raise so that I can start a supermarket back home in Zim, it was not yet enough. I said, let me just work for this year, and then I'm going back home. Then the nightmare happened. Someone tipped off Home Affairs. Even though I was a qualified manager, there was an issue with my papers that I was trying to fix. You know that it is very difficult to get papers in South Africa. One afternoon, whilst I was in the middle of a meeting, that was when there were 2 police and a Home Affairs official walked in, and they asked to see my papers. I was handcuffed in front of my staff, humiliated. Within 48 hours, I was on the bus back to Zim. I was deported. I lost my job, my car, my life in Mzanzim. It was gone within 1 day. And when we arrived there in Beitbridge, there were some other guys that said, let us walk back, we can make it. But I said, let me return back home. I returned back home. I did not have anything, and knowing the situation that had forced me out of Zim, it was waiting for me. I sat in the village for months and months, and I wanted to return back to South Africa, but I did not have enough money. I wanted my life back. I just wanted to make it, and I had learned a lesson not to find work at these big shops. You just look for a place to work where no one is going to bother you. By then I had said, God, even if I can get a job at any farm, it is okay. All that I want is money so that I can start my own business. So remember that when I was deported, I had money, because as I was employed at that shop, I had my girlfriend's bank account, which was being used whenever they would deposit my salary. So she had my money in the savings, and I knew that if I can make it back to South Africa, I can work on top of those savings. I did not know that my girlfriend, when she heard that I had left South Africa, she did not think about keeping the money so that I can return back. She used the money, and it was not nice when I came back, when I found out that this was what had happened. So I did not want to be someone that was going to be struggling when I would return back to South Africa. I wanted to be a business owner, to do my own thing, to make money whilst I was sleeping without even leaving the house. Whilst I was still back home, that was when I went to this other prophetess from the White Garment Church. I just wanted her to tell me if there was any future for me in South Africa, and she told me that I was going to make a lot of money. But my ancestors, they were the ones that had made me to be deported from South Africa. And I asked that prophetess, and I said, how so? And that woman told me that my ancestors, they felt as if I had forgotten them because they were the ones that had given me the blessings, and instead of me just pouring some traditional beer onto the ground so that they can get relief from their thirst, I was spending that money on my South African girlfriend. So I had to go to a sangoma. I went to a sangoma. This sangoma, as I was speaking with him, he then told me that he had other boys from the village that he had assisted that also did not have like passports, and he would give them a lucky oil, and this lucky oil, you will rub it when you are in Beitbridge before you cross into South Africa. If you rub it, you can even pass through the border. It will blind Home Affairs officers, even the police. You will walk past them as if you are not even them. They will just feel lazy to even look at you, and they will be blinded. And once they see you, their brains will not even register that there is someone who is walking from no man's land coming to South Africa. So I just took it. I did not believe that this thing, it was going to work. I just took that lucky oil, and then I met up with two other boys that wanted to return back to South Africa. I followed the instructions and we crossed the border. It was midnight. And after we had crossed the border, I then came to Johannesburg. But there was something that started to happen to me when I was in Joburg. I was already staying with my girlfriend already at that time, and she had told me that she had used the money, which I did not like. But since I loved her, I forgave her. As men, we can do something like that. And I said, let us work from the ground up again. So, Brother Nashi, as we were staying together, I started to have a lot of good luck. I had never painted a house in my entire life. I still remember that there was this other time when I was walking in an Indian suburb. As I was walking, there was one Indian man who just called me, and he asked me if I was a painter or if I knew any painter that was from Zim. So I looked at his double-story house and I told him that I could paint. I did not even know anything about painting houses. He then said, how about you give me a quotation? I could not give him a quotation because I did not know much about painting houses. I returned back to the location where I was staying. That was when I had to speak with another guy whom I knew he was working in the construction. So I told him that I had a job that I had found. So this guy, he started working for me. As it happened, because of the lucky oil that I was using, when the other Indians in that same street, when they saw that we were busy painting that house, they would stop and they would ask for my business card. I did not even have anything. I rushed to the internet cafe and then I started to hand out those business cards, and that is how I started to get a lot of small-time contracts from these Indians that were renovating their houses. From there on, I worked at a site where there was a white man who had a construction company. He just said that he liked the way that I was working, and I started a big construction company. He used to give me some subcontracts and we started to make a lot of money. Me and my girlfriend, she was even shocked at the way that we started to make a lot of money. And I told her that there was no need for her to continue working at the supermarket where she was working. And I went with her. She got her license because I needed her to have a license, because there were times when we would go to other neighborhoods which were very difficult for you to drive into a gated community. When you are from outside of the country, they need a lot of documentation. So she was the one that would go there and do a quotation. I would tell her everything that was supposed to be done and what she was supposed to say. So what I started to notice was that whenever I would have used the lucky oil, when the business would have gone down, I would wake up and I would find myself sleeping on top of a grave. This will happen even in the afternoon. I might be at work with my boys, then I'll just disappear and I would wake up and I would find myself sleeping on top of a grave. This started bothering me quite a lot. Then I returned back to Zim. When I returned back, I then went to that same Sangoma and I told the Sangoma that this was what was happening to me, and I started to see that I was having a lot of blisters on my manhood, because I would have a dream, and in my dream I'll be sleeping with a beautiful white woman. That Sangoma laughed at me and I asked him why he was laughing, and then he told me that the white woman that I was seeing in my dreams, it was not a real white woman, but it was a Tokoloshe. That bottle that he had given to me, it had changed and it was now a Tokoloshe, and if I was not careful with the Tokoloshe, it was going to kill me. I then asked the Sangoma what was it that was supposed to be done. That was when the Sangoma then told me that the woman that I was dating in South Africa, I was supposed to marry her legally so that she can become my wife. Then in time, the sacrifice was going to happen, but the Sangoma did not tell me exactly how I was going to sacrifice my wife. I returned back to South Africa and I proposed to my wife. Her family had accepted me already, and we went there and we paid for the bride price and we had a small wedding. By then, my wife, she was working for me. The day that she got hurt, Brother Nashim, was when she was at work. I knew that there was an accident that was going to happen at work, but I was not supposed to be there because I had a dream. The Sangoma was speaking with me like I was not supposed to be there, and then that was when I told her in the morning that you'll go to work with the boys. I am going somewhere to go and give this other person a quotation, but I was lying. Whilst she was at work, sometimes she would assist our boys that were working for us. So there were some bricks. There were about 2 bricks that were on top of the scaffold, but it was not that high. It was above the window level. That is how high it was. So one of the brick fell down and it hit her on the back. It was not supposed to be like a big accident, but because of the Tokoloshe, she could not even wake up. Then they called me and they called the ambulance. It did not kill her, but as time went on, that was when she started to complain. When she would wake up, she will say that she is feeling a lot of pressure on her spinal cord, and then that was when she got paralyzed from the waist down. That was 11 years ago. The moment that she was put into that wheelchair, that was when my good luck became like super luck. Money started coming from directions that I could not understand. Partnered with a South African for 1 month, and he called me screaming and he told me that we had gotten a tender, just like that. And the next thing, I got a loan and I finally had my first King Pie franchise. It became the busiest shop. I can't tell you the mall where we started. Then I bought another and another. Today I own King Pie franchises across 4 South African provinces. I am someone that is wealthy, drive beautiful cars, and I have a nice business. So I am using my wife who is paralyzed. And the painful part about my story is that even though my wife is sick, she stays in a beautiful home. I take care of her, but I can't be with him. That is what I was told by the Tokoloshe. I just take care of her whilst she is in that province and I am in another province. If I go to her, the Tokoloshe will beat me up. I look back to the years when I first came to South Africa. I was an honest person who just wanted to work, but the things that they did to me, unfortunately, I had to use witchcraft in order for me to become the person that I am right now. I have it all, Brother Nashi, but the person that made it to be possible, it is my paralyzed wife. I am a ritualist and I am ashamed of myself. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Let us try to speak with our brother in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Can you imagine?